In our first episode of 2026, Laurie Austein speaks with Eran Halevi of the Uriel Center, as he shares about the many practices that he and his wife and partner Nuria have woven with counsel to create the Listening Heart program. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for listening.
All right. Well, good evening to you, Eran. I'm here with Eran Halevi, who is one of the founders of the Uriel Center. And along with his wife and partner, Nuria, they have developed and teach the Listening Heart program, which offers training in the way of counsel. So as we meet here across the airwaves, Eran, where are you at the moment? What region are you in the world?
Good evening, Laurie. I'm sitting in my office, which is in my home, in a small village called Alone Abba in the north part of Israel, not far away from the Mediterranean and the Carmel Mountains.
Wow, amazing. And I'd love to start with asking you about how you found your way to the way of counsel, or how it found you.
Well, I think it was 2001 when I first sat in council. Yeah, I was a teacher, a Waldorf teacher in a Waldorf school, and then came this American guy. I didn't know even his name, and he said, "I'm going to sit in a circle with some teenagers, like high school pupils, and the teachers were invited as well." So my first council was with pupils, like 17, 18 years old, and few teachers were there. And it was very profound for me in a way that it was, as a teacher, you meet pupils. I was a physical education teacher. So I met them in classes outdoor.
Mm.
And then in council, the first thing I noticed that I really see them through the stories they told, not as pupils, as human beings.
Beautiful.
And it was like turning from black and white movie to colors movie for me. It was first thing that really, wow. And then I went back home in the afternoon and I was sitting with Nuria on the dinner table. And after years of being together, I realized that something has changed in the way I'm listening to her. It was like, it was more like the way I'm not listening to her. What I mean is that I noticed it was like an inner witness inside of me that noticed the quality of my listening. And I realized that quite often I was, instead of really being present with her and listen to what she says, no matter what about, I was either waiting for her to finish so I will talk. So I was preparing my answer, or even worse than that, I realized that once in a while, my thoughts flew away to another place, and I was thinking about something else while she was talking. And this was the first time I was being able to realize it, like self-witnessing. And that was a big That was something very special for me, this dinner, you know. So I came back the next day. I came back to school, and I was looking for this man. And then I found out that this man is looking for a place to train Israelis for to be facilitators in the emphasis of the Arab-Jewish conflict. Okay, like multicultural training. And Uriel Center, we just founded it like a year before that. So, you know, they say when the pupil is ready, the teacher is coming. And that's what happened. So I told him, hey, you know, I had this very special experience yesterday. Why don't you come over to see my place? We will love to host the first training. And this man was Leon Berg. Okay, Leon Berg. It was a bit before Ronit Rinat came to Israel and brought, on a big scale, she brought Council to Israel, but it was a bit before that. So that's how I met Council the first time.
Well, that's a wonderful story, and I'm really touched by how you articulated the development of that self-witnessing consciousness that I think is one of the profound revelations that counsel can offer to people, certainly to me as well. And so as you began this exploration with this recognition that you are now seeing students rather than as pupils, but that and more fully as human beings, and how it changed the quality of your listening and your relationship with your partner, how has counsel kind of evolved for you in what it has revealed to you, or how your awareness of what the practice is has shifted over time?
Well, so I'll continue the story. So it took a while, and then few of us teachers in the Waldorf School of Harduf and some other people from Israel, few Arabs, mostly Jews, became sitting in council with Leon here as the first training. And each meeting, each session, I noticed that, well, first I noticed how much I'm not really listening. And I started slowly to develop the awareness of the difference between hearing and listening. And then Nuria joined us after a while, because she saw what happens to me, and it happened pretty quickly in the beginning. As she recalled, I started to talk less and listen more. And one more thing that she noticed, that I became less reactive. So, and then later on, I realized my relationship with my children. Both of us, we have 4 children. I was, yeah, you know, it was amazing how, for me, Laurie, right away, I realized that counsel is much more than a method or a way to improve your communication. It's I understood quite quickly why is it called the way of counsel. And I realized, you know, and I wasn't young then. I was like already nearly 50 years old then, 20 years ago. And so I was trained in many methods of, personal growth through the body, through meditation, mindfulness, positive psychology, Gestalt. And then counsel brought to my awareness another level, another layer that I did not find in other methods. And maybe the most important one for me was that the inner work that I do it in a group. And the power of the group, of the circle, And it's something which is very difficult to describe. I guess you know what I mean. So I grew up on a kibbutz, on a small community, like a socialist agriculture community many years ago. And since I left the kibbutz 35 years ago, my soul was longing for this feeling of togetherness, of non-judgmental conversation. And that's what I found in counsel.
Beautiful. I think we're all longing for that. And there is such a crisis in society here, and at least in the United States, of loneliness. And
Yes.
we are missing that place, that circle of mirrors that we sometimes call it in counsel, which does allow us to do our inner work. When I'm sitting home alone, I'm just perfect. It's when I have to come up with against other people that I recognize, there's some reactivity there, and counsel can allow me to take a look at what is that for me. So again, I really appreciate how well you're sharing my heart, I guess I could say. I think it would be wonderful to learn a little bit more about the listening heart program that you and Nuria developed. What led you to create this specific approach? And maybe you can share a little bit more about what it is in this context of counsel.
Yeah. Well, it was Martin Buber who said many years ago, he said, among other wise things, if you really want to know yourself objectively, you have to check your relationship with other people. In other words, your relationship with other people are mirror to who you really are, not to who you want to be, or who you will be in the future, or who you think you are. It's like an objective, sometimes quite cruel mirror. So in the first few years, we joined another group, and with the Ma'agal Akshava NGO that Ronit Rinat founded with some other people. And me and Uriel were a part of the NGO. And then it took a few years that we realized that we really wanted to make our living with counsel, with training people to be counsel facilitators. We were not trainers yet, but we were on the path, as they say. And it came out, as in many NGOs, that as inside the NGO, we could earn some money, but most of the money went to the NGO eventually. So we decided to separate from the NGO, although we keep professional connections for all these years, and to create our own counsel, not training yet, because we were not trainers then, counsel facilitation organization. We call it a social organization, the Uriel Center. And Nuria, she had, by then already, she had many years of experience in a group facilitation through movement. Okay.
Right.
And she went to Waldorf teachers seminar as well. So both of us are really let's say our inner work is rooted in the Waldorf education philosophy. And we found that it's very connected to the way of counsel, like the core values of being with other people from the heart, combining with the head is in counsel and in the anthroposophy philosophy as well. And so anyway, so after a few years, we waited until we became trainers. It was 2009. And then we started to offer trainings. In the beginning, the listening heart, by the way, the listening heart is that, and it's a part of a long sentence said, you give your servant, like it says, okay, Solomon, King Solomon, God asked him, what do you want? So King Solomon said, give your servant a listening heart. Now listen to what comes after that. So I can define bad from good. So and to define bad from good, to separate bad from good is a kind of judgment. So the way I understand it, what King Solomon asked from God is to judge from the heart.
Wow, beautiful.
So the listening heart program started as just a plain basic counsel facilitation as we were trained. And then when years go by, we added more ways of counsel, or more ways of being together, of getting to know who I am as an individual and who I am as a part of a group. We added more movements, not only games, but movement like awareness movement, working with music, and more creative methods like art, and of course, working in nature, being in nature, like the nature of counsel. So after a few years, we developed this like holistic program, which is, by the way, we continue to develop it. Like many years later on, like 5 or 6 years ago, after I was trained in nonviolent communication and in more positive psychology, we added some NVC core values to the training, and we added some parts that dealing with what lenses do you have on your glasses when you look at the world, and how you can have the ability to choose to meet reality. And it has to do a lot with judgment, of course. So this program is it's a very long program compared to the training we went through. It's 130 hours, 4 hours every week for like 6 or 7 months. That people go through very intensive, deep process of counsel and more. And in the last part of the training, they facilitate each other. So it's like on-the-job training in a way for some people. So that's the program. That's the program. Yeah, the Listening Heart program.
Well, thank you. I mean, I find myself feeling quite enlivened just hearing the description of it. Like, let's do this. And I'm really fascinated by the way that you've incorporated this idea of judgment. As you know, we often talk about judgment in counsel as listening without judgment, listening with curiosity, but we're kind of talking about the judgment there where we make evaluations of people and what they're saying. Uh,
Yeah.
and what I hear you speaking about, I think, is more of discernment. So, sort of the higher form of judgment, the discernment. And as you said, as you recognize, what color glasses you've put on, that we have the ability to choose differently, and it requires, in many cases, that judgment, that discernment.
That's correct. It's yeah, the way I see it, it's nearly impossible not to judge. What I'm trying to do personally is to witness my judgment.
Yes.
And then I don't let it out. You see? So as in many other fields, as you probably know, as long as you become aware to what you feel and what you think and what goes in your head and in your heart, you're not on a automatic pilot. You have the
Right.
freedom to choose when to react, if to react, and how to react. And that's, for me, the most significant change that I see again and again our pupils go through in the program. And more and more people talk to us after the training how their relationship has changed. Their relationship
Mhm.
with the children. Some people divorce, some people get married, and when I change something in myself, the whole world around me is changing.
Yes.
Because I say that the most important thing that I have in my life, the most valuable thing, is that this invisible web of my relationship with people, everybody. And I
Yes.
create the quality of my relationship by the way I speak and the way I listen. So when I change the way I speak and the way I listen, I'm not only changing myself, it's like ripples in water. I'm changing everything around me.
Hmm. Yes. Thank you. I feel we have many shared interests in NVC and Gestalt and Waldorf education, and could probably speak for hours on that. And
Yeah.
that said, I'd like to shift the conversation a bit to the fact that you and Nuria are doing this work in a fraught part of the world. And, probably there's many, many fraught parts of the world, but I feel I'd be remiss not to ask, how does council practice serve multicultural communities in Israel, Palestine, especially those that are navigating deep political and cultural divides these days? I
Yeah.
know that's like a very large question, but
Yes. Well,
anything that comes to your heart, mind on that, as you and Nuria have, danced with this.
yeah, we can have a seminar on that, for a week.
Yeah.
Before I answer, Laurie, I'd like to say that uh, a big part of the quality of my work is because I'm not working by myself. I'm doing it with Nuria, and the co-facilitation of both of us is creating, much more than me plus her together. Um, and yeah. So, well, we have a saying in Hebrew. I'll say it in Hebrew first. מים שקטים חודרים עמוק. Calm water go deep. And so the way I see it, from my point of view, the work of counsel, which is, of course, can be the ultimate remedy to the problems we have in the Middle East here.
Mm.
The amount of people that are exposed to counsel is objectively very little, unfortunately. And in the same time, the work is done. You know, we now in the beginning of this year, 2026, we have two groups, number 43 and 44 of the
Wow.
listening art program, and each group is between 12 and 15 people. So we've been trained many people, Jews and Arabs, and all of them are ambassadors of the way of counsel in a way, even if they don't facilitate. As as we all know, you don't have to facilitate counsel in order to live the way of counsel in your
Beautiful.
relationship. So I'm trying in the last few years to bring counsel more to the academy and to have some universities doing research. And we succeeded a little bit with the University of Haifa. One of our pupils, she's doing her thesis on counsel, and still, I've been working with many groups of Arabs, mostly, by the way, only men or only women. There is a big difference in between the Jewish Israelis and the Arab Israelis, in a way that men and women together are working like in emotional work. So yeah, so there are a lot of like cultural gaps, and but we have the faith and we do the work, and we're not alone. You have the Amutat, the NGO Maagal Akshava, our colleagues, they do great work as well. And more of people that we trained, they do counsel. We work in schools for many years, and the Bureau of Education in Israel recognized our work and paid for that. So just like in other arenas, there is what you believe in, and then there is the reality. I think you have it in a way the same in North America, especially in the United States.
Yes.
So we, in a way, obligated to this work, and we continue to do it. We believe in it. We see the impact on people, and hopefully it will spread more and more. And I want to say, when I think about it, I want to say thank you to Ronit Rinat, that she brought the way of counsel to Israel, and she was the first person who really, let my fire grow when I saw that she, like, her life was for counsel for many years now. She's back in the United States now for quite a few years. And so but the many years she lived in Israel, she was not only my teacher, she was the person that sometimes when I wanted to give up, I looked up at her and I said, I want to be like her.
That's a lovely tribute to
Yeah.
your mentor, your role model, to Ronit. Well, I appreciate the work that you and Nuria are doing to, send forth those ripples. As you said, each person is likely profoundly changed, and so then that ripples out to all of their relations. And this is the dream, I think, of many trainers and facilitators, that we are doing our little part to change the world, as
Yes.
as wildly idealistic as that might sound.
Yes, yes, and you know, I decided that I want to bring counsel into my life on a full range when I realized what sitting in council did to my relationship with Nuria and her relationship with me. So the first impact of counsel on my life was the relationship with my wife. And by the way, we work with couples as well for quite a few years, a small group of couples. Yeah, and we were trained with Jack and Jacqueline when they were here many years ago, and I see what it does to couples that continue to do the work. Not
Right.
everybody continue to do the work, and it's a work to do.
It is. This is the heart of relationship. It's
Yes,
it's a work in progress, and are we willing to sit down, call the circle, make the time, make the space, and maybe most importantly, be that
yeah,
vulnerable to say, I'm willing to be changed here.
exactly. Wow, you put it exactly in the way I see it.
Wow. Yes, we're cohorts here.
Yeah.
And so I think you've shared you've touched on what the practice has taught you. I'm wondering as you and I think you've touched on this too about, what is the wisdom of the circle or the spirit of the circle, but anything else that you'd like to share about how maybe this archetype of the circle has been your teacher?
Mm. We live in a very special times now, and I experience, as many people around the world, the deep separation between people. And for me, counsel is the antidote for that. It's and in a way, it's very simple, and that's the strength of counsel, the way I see it. That it's not coming from the academy world. It's not backed up with many researches. It's not psychological. It's not therapeutic, so-called. And actually, it is. Lately I've been working with soldiers that in the war. I'm a part of an NGO, one of the many NGOs in Israel now, that helping especially older soldiers that have families, and they were inside the war. And even now, when the war is over, so-called, many men and women uh, um, share their life between being near Gaza or in the north and in their family with their children. And it's nearly impossible, Laurie, to stay sane when you jump from being in a war to your family. So in this, it's called Kfar Ma'avar. It's a very special place. Maybe another time we can talk about it. We use counsel as a mean for people to open their heart, men, mostly men and women as well. And we use, beside counsel, we use um, ice bath and sweat lodge and movement and body work. And mostly we help the soldiers to get in touch with their feelings and to be the ability to improve the ability to be in touch with what's alive inside of them and to express it in a way which is not harmful for other people.
Yes.
I
Beautiful.
Beside that, by the way, I've been working with men's circles for many years. Like 20 years ago, I opened a men's circle with some friends, like a project that I called it Knights Without Armor. There is a book that name. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a book in English by that name, Knights Without Armor. And through counsel to help men, including me, to take off slowly, consciously, the armor that we put on that separate our feelings from who we are. So that's what we do with soldiers now. So lately I feel, the more harsh the situation becomes, the more important counsel become.
Yes, it's
As
such
in,
important repair work in the context you're speaking around.
yes. So beside that, I want to add something about the ability of people to accept different opinions, different differences, and very in a very personal way, I realized I changed a lot through these 25 years of sitting in councils. That I, it's difficult to explain because on one way, okay, it's like a polarity of two directions, opposite directions in a way. On one way, sitting in council made me more Israeli, more Jewish, more man, more husband. My identity became stronger of who I am and how I want to impact the world and how I want to do what we call in Judaism tikkun olam, like fixing the world. How I want to do it. Let's like on one end. On the other hand, I'm my soul is not Israeli, is not Jewish, is not masculine. I'm a part of the human race. And sitting in council strengthened, made me feel much in a very strong way that I belong to the human race. Beyond my gender, my nationality, my religion, and all this. So, and that's for me.
Yes, and both.
Yes, and both, exactly. So it's
And another thing that seems to be cultivated within the process, in the practice.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I could speak with you all day. You've been very generous with your time. Another counsel saying that we have is, when we put out the prompt is speak about blah, 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 or tell about a time when, or anything else. So just maybe taking a moment together to take a breath. And I know that you're also thinking of Nuria. And is there anything else that you'd like to add here?
Yeah. I want to say thank you for all my teachers. One very important thing that happened to me in council, and it's keep happening, that I realized the real meaning of the word in English lineage, which I was very alienated to this word before. My parents came before the Holocaust to Israel. I knew nothing about my grandparents. And it's like, my family started from the beginning. And sitting in council, I realized that me, my children, and now my grandchildren, we are all like a small loop in a big chain throughout the generations. And I want to mention, of course, Jack Zimmerman, and Jacqueline and Ronit, as I said, and Leon Berg and Marlo and Gigi and more, and Joe and Jared and more people that I met in Ojai. I think it was 2012 or so. That was this meeting in Ojai. Anyway, and now I feel that I personally, and me and Nuria in Uriel Center, and all the Israeli trainers, we are part of a world community, and that's a world community of people that try to make this world a better place, and that gives me hope and gives me more another added value to the meaning of my life. So I want to thank to all these people that showed me the way of counsel.
Oh, beautiful. Well, that is a lovely note of gratitude and honoring of the lineage to end on. I guess for people to find out more, they can go to the Uriel Center website and be able to learn more about what you're doing and contact you there. And just really appreciate your time. It was a lovely conversation. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Lori. We could sit here and talk a few more hours because, counsel, as you know, it's I said it in the beginning and I will say it in the end. It's a way, it's a path to walk, and let's continue to walk together.
Beautiful. Let's keep walking. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Eran.